Here we are again. This is Kevin Johnson of Leverage Consulting, and you are listening to the Organizational Excellence Podcast. This podcast, I'm going to start out with a question. Would you consider conflict to be a good thing or a bad thing? Maybe before you answer, let me ask you another question. What good comes of no conflict? We tend to gravitate back towards that emotional feeling we might have when we are in that moment of conflict. And we may have that pit in the bottom of our stomach, or we may have some other type of physical response, and it just might not feel good. But maybe when we look at the question, the second question, and start looking at, well, what good comes from no conflict? This is the answer to what comes of no conflict. You lose every time. Either that, or you're going to roll the dice and take your chances and just hope for the best. And I will tell you, after 20 years of working with individuals, running their own businesses, working in businesses, that's not the way to run your business. Rolling the dice or hoping for the best is not the way to go about things. If we take this example and oversimplify it and say, you and your friends are going to dinner on Friday night, there's 10 of you, and someone says, where do we want to go for dinner? Well, with that question alone, you will be standing around for the next 1 to 2 hours with everyone saying, I don't know, where do you want to go? I don't know, where do you want to go? And at some point, someone's going to get really aggravated with that. And probably more than who will actually verbalize their aggravation. It's just they're aggravated and they're choosing not to say anything because they don't want conflict. So when we're trying to choose that restaurant, we still have to, and the example I always use is I always like to throw out, let's go get sushi, because either everyone's going to love it or there's going to be a number of people that hate it, because sushi is one of those things that you either love it and let's go eat sushi tonight, or you absolutely hate it, and there is no way on God's green earth, you just hope that there's a good restaurant next door. So when you think about it, well, how do we deal with conflict? Because it is one of those things, if you have interest in life to either grow your business, develop a better team, make team members better, help a customer out, anything of the sort, all those things result in some level of conflict. If you took just a quick 3-step approach to dealing with conflict, the first and foremost thing is that when you approach someone else and we're talking about conflict or dealing with conflict, then we have to make it about the problem and not about the person. It's easy to go attack the individual, and when you attack the individual, they're probably just going to go into shutdown mode. They're not listening to you anymore, and if anything, it's just going to turn into an argument, or they're probably just going to clam up and say nothing. And again, you lose. So the second thing is that we remain outcome focused. So sometimes folks get really mired down in the details. They get hung up on little small nuances of things. However, sometimes when people see the whole idea of what's the outcome, what are we trying to achieve, they can see where possibly moving on their own position or potentially working through some things that we might consider to be difficulties or uncomfortable, because the outcome outweighs the pain in between. So that outcome-focused approach typically is going to move us down in a positive way. So then the third thing is, and this is the most important, and this could have been third or this could have been first, and that is just eliminate the emotion. Because again, if we address something as the problem, then we're eliminating the chances or reducing the chances that we're going to really evoke the emotion either in ourselves or the other individual. If we focus on the person, you are most likely going to throw gas on that fire and evoke some emotion. If we stay outcome focused and we don't spend the next 3 hours trying to hash out the details of every step in between here and there, then again, we'll reduce the likelihood of emotion. But we also have to, in another topic that you've probably heard me talk about in the past, and that is emotional intelligence, and that is reading the individual and reading your own reactions to things and managing those reactions. Those are huge, huge, huge things. And this does take practice. This is something that takes Ongoing practice is not something you're going to do the first go around. However, with ongoing practice, I can guarantee you no matter what job you hold, what business you run, if you want to do more dentistry, if you want to sell more houses, if you want to sell more of whatever it is that you do, if you want to manage your team, if you want to have a well-oiled machine as a team, if you want a team that's headed to the championship game, then get comfortable with conflict. It is a superpower that many, many people underestimate. So that, my friends, is your Organizational Excellence Podcast. I've got another one queued up for you that's going to be equally as good.